Hey, what's going on? It's your normal correspondent, John Ross, Marcus Scott's coming back at you with the Way Too Much JMC podcast. It is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, and today we're going to be talking about an article that I know y'all know I did a show just a couple shows ago, and the title was Where Are All the Men? And anybody that knows me, I've told the story about how that's pretty much why I got started in this game. But as far as like the, actually getting involved in politics and trying to make a difference and going to meetings and doing this show and all that good stuff, basically came to me as from a call, a demand from my wonderful wife, best friend, life partner, all that good stuff. Basically saying, yo, man, where you at? Why ain't you out there fighting? Why ain't you on the damn front lines fighting for our kids? And that was in October of 2021. And the article we're going to talk about today, this dad and this altercation that landed him in prison happened in June of 2021. So I'm really excited to talk about this today because I really think this is probably one of those instances that kind of got my wife moving in that direction of being like, hey, we gotta cut this shit out. We gotta stop. We gotta change this. That ended up leading to her saying what she said to me on that October night, and here we are today. So I'm gonna flip over here, let you look at one of my screens here, and you'll see. So on September 10th, 2023, from the Daily Wire, it says Glenn Youngkin, it's the governor of Virginia, grants absolute pardon to Loudon dad arrested at school board meeting. Scott Smith, which is the dad's name, says, what should scare every American is that I had to take this because I could not trust our justice system. So for those of y'all that aren't familiar with the story, Scott Smith was a dad in Loudoun County, Virginia. Finds out his daughter was sexually assaulted and raped in the school restroom. And the school covered it up and weren't going to say anything. They were not going to say anything. They were acting like it had not happened. This was before all the revelations we started seeing of, like, I did that show probably 6 months ago about the fight in the girls' restroom where supposedly one bad chick beat up two other girls, and police report says as much. All that stuff. We'll come to find out it was a boy beat up two girls in the restroom. The boy being a transgender girl, I guess how you would say that. So boy beat up two girls. It's also before a lot of the revelations it's been coming to light on how school systems are sweeping it under the rug whenever they find out of sexual, either sexual assault or sexually predatory behavior, or teachers having inappropriate relationships with minor students, all that stuff, and how they're sweeping that under the rug. And then, much like the Catholic Church, instead of like firing these people and putting them on blast, they are literally asking them to resign and then giving them a positive recommendation to get them a job in another school district, or just reassigning them inside the school district, either with other students or just in a non-student facing environment, because they want to save face and not get in trouble, which I think we can all agree is a totally abhorrent behavior. But this dad found out that his daughter had been sexually assaulted, raped in the bathroom, shows up at a school board meeting. And yeah, we all remember the time during COVID and all that bullshit where they were like basically saying all the parents were enemies, and any kind of pushback, clap back, chirping about school boards not being transparent or not being ethical, or all that. It was being met with not just like angst or like anger. I mean, a total disgust. It was when the school system started really showing their true colors, and the fact that they have a total disdain for parents getting involved. They think we are dumbasses, and that they are the experts, and we should be listening to what they're saying and just trusting it, taking it hook, line, and sinker. So this dad comes in to talk about this rape, and they try to shut him. They try to shout him down, tell him he's not allowed to speak. obviously, it pisses this son of a bitch off. He's pissed. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show him to you again, everybody, for you all that are watching here. I mean, the dude's got the quintessential. I think he's got his redneck cargo shorts on. He's got his Crocs on in sport mode right here, sitting on this bench. Got his hat on, kind of cocked to the sideways a little bit. You know why? Because he's obviously a redneck from Virginia. So they were painting Scott Smith as this crazy lunatic, white trashy redneck. Okay, that had no business speaking at a school function because he's an idiot, white trashy redneck, and all he wanted to do was cause a scene. All he wanted to do was fight, and it was totally ridiculous that he would expect them to do something about his daughter getting raped. Well, to me, this right here is what flipped the script on everybody. Because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if that's my daughter, yo, bro, I'm coming. I mean, I'm coming for you. You will have to put me in the back of a squad car too. I talked about this yesterday on the show I did, talking about the Second Amendment being suspended out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Shame on those damn police for being willing to lock this dude up and for being willing to shout him down. And we saw it all throughout COVID. Police officers siding with the school boards and the governors and the mayors and all that, thinking that parents, that average Americans were the problem, and it was their job to protect the elite in society from the average Joe. So it was people that probably come from this guy's background. We're putting him in handcuffs, locking him up, like it wasn't reasonable for him to be mad as hell that his daughter got raped in that school and nobody was doing nothing about it. They're probably like, this dude showed up at a school board meeting and show up at their house. That's probably what I'd done. I'd show up at your house whooping that ass. And I ain't even that tough. But I've been showing up ready to whoop that ass. Let's read this article. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin on Sunday granted an absolute pardon to the father who was arrested at a school board meeting after the superintendent lied about his daughter's rape by a skirt-wearing boy. Yeah, skirt-wearing boy. So why do you think they don't want to talk about it? They don't want to talk about how these transgender people are batshit. They don't want to talk about it. The pardon says that in June 2021, Scott Smith exercised his constitutional right to attend a public meeting of the Loudoun County School Board to observe the proceedings, during which time a community member threatened to spread false and malicious information about Mr. Smith's business with the intent to damage his reputation. After an ensuing verbal confrontation, Scott Thomas Smith was charged with obstruction of justice and disorderly conduct, and Smith was quickly convicted, even though an appeals court later disqualified the prosecutor due to concerns about the integrity of the prosecution. The pardon continues. Whereas Scott Thomas Smith has been publicly and falsely accused of domestic terrorism. He was accused of domestic terrorism because he showed up mad as hell that they weren't going to do anything about his daughter getting raped in a bathroom at school. For attempting to advocate for his daughter, a victim of sexual assault, I've decided it is just and appropriate to grant this absolute pardon that reflects Scott Thomas Smith's factual innocence. It concludes. That's coming from Glenn Youngkin's office. Smith's story galvanized parents who were concerned that schools had sacrificed student safety and academic rigor for ideology. I've been saying this for 2 years. Youngkin's pledge to be a voice for those parents helped usher him into office a month after the Daily Wire revealed Smith's story. So y'all don't think parents are pissed? Glenn Youngkin basically rode this story into the governor's mansion in Virginia. Democrat prosecutor Buddha Bibaraj bucked her typical soft-on-crime stances and personally argued to put Smith in jail for misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Smith was denied a jury because it was a misdemeanor in general district court, and a judge quickly convicted him. So again, you go find an ideological judge. This is why, listen, the left strategically, they're strategic about how they charge things. It's just like out in Arizona. They're not going to be charging them if somebody's carrying a weapon they're not going to be catching a charge for wrongful concealing of a deadly weapon or anything like that. They're just going to be charging them with a misdemeanor for violating a public order. And so it gets washed in the annals of history as this person's a lunatic that just continues to defy public orders, when really it was just the public order was denying the person their constitutional right to carry a firearm. He appealed the ruling and would have been entitled to a jury in appeals court, but the legal saga has dragged on for years, taking a financial and emotional toll on Smith, who says he's grateful Youngkin allowed him to move on. And I want everybody to realize, yes, it's awful this kind of stuff's happening to parents. Okay, it's awful it happened to this Scott Smith guy. But I'm talking about building a new coalition of voters. Everyone needs to realize this is the kind of shit that's happening to African American men. Systemic racism stuff that we talk about. Some people deny is going on. Happens to them on a day-to-day basis. They're forced to take pleas they don't want to take, because if they don't, they'll end up facing the blank check of the government, prosecuting them for everything under the sun against their public defender because they're pissed they wouldn't take a plea deal. Or they can take a 6 months possession charge and get time served because they sat in prison 6 months waiting on their court date. But then when they get out, they have a felony charge or something on their record and can't get a job. I'm thankful that the Youngkin administration gave me an off-ramp to these charges that never should have happened, Smith told the Daily Wire. It's kind of bittersweet because I really look forward to winning this in court. But unfortunately, our justice system is so screwed up right now that I didn't feel that I could potentially get a fair shot in court. That's what should scare every American, is that I had to take this because I could not trust our justice system. As Smith's legal saga dragged on, the same system that prosecuted Smith acquitted Loudoun County Public School spokesman Wade Biard for perjury charges. The day Smith's daughter was raped, Biard wrote an email to parents that falsely blamed Smith for police presence and falsely said that no students were in danger, even as the rapist remained on the loose. Wade Biard, you are a piece of shit. And I hope you've been ran out of town. I hope you literally had to move onto the other side of the country. I hope you were doxxed. I hope they gave everybody your address, your phone number, all that shit. I don't care. You lie. Anything that involves children being raped, sexual assault, child molestation, child abuse, any of that shit, I don't care what happens to you. I really don't. I'm from Eastern Kentucky, baby. I'm all about community justice when it comes to that stuff. The rapist was eventually convicted in juvenile court, but due to a mistake by Biberage, will not be placed on the sex offenders registry. Was it a mistake? Was it? You gotta remember, this was a trans kid. It was not a mistake. Smith said that on the night of the June 2021 school board meeting, where school board members were discussing passing a policy to allow transgender students to use the restrooms of their choice, his daughter had intended to say through a megaphone how just a few weeks before she had been raped in a school bathroom by a boy wearing a skirt. That's why Jackie attacked us, was to stop my daughter from speaking, he said, referring to Jackie Schwarm, a radical leftist who had just spoken to Smith's daughter, then sought out Smith and threatened to use social media to ruin his business. A police officer grabbed Smith from behind and a struggle ensued. An appeals court said that the prosecutor may have been biased, but that the fact that he cursed at Schwarm was enough to try him. And again, this is where they come after average people. Okay? White trashy people, people from the mountains, black people from the hood, people from tough upbringings, poor people. They literally say the fact that they cursed was enough to try him. Because they think they're better than us. They think that they're too good for us because we have bad language. Smith said that even if his appeal would have prevailed, radical prosecutors had already punished him by putting him through a years-long process. The damage has already been done, Smith said. This process has been absolutely brutal because it took away some of my family treasure that could have gone to my daughter's situation. Again, they take you through the financial ringer to defend yourself. The media plastered around the world a picture of Smith being dragged away by police and used him as a symbol of how angry conservative parents were supposedly disrupting school board meetings out of bigotry and ignorance. Is it bigotry and ignorance when your daughter is raped by a trans kid in the bathroom and the gross, evil, demonic piece of shit school board members don't want to tell anybody about it? The National School Board Association likened him to a domestic terrorist in a letter that the Biden administration used to mobilize anti-terrorism forces against parents. Only the Daily Wire bothered to ask Smith whether he had a good reason to be mad at the school board. It turned out that not only had his daughter been raped and the superintendent lied about it, but that the school system kept the rapist in school where he sexually assaulted a second girl. This trans kid assaulted another girl because of these people. But I'm a bad person because I say cuss words. And Scott Smith's a bad person because he said some cuss words to somebody. These people, I don't care if they're in church 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They hushed up a kid raping another girl because they were trans and didn't want there to be bad press there. And they raped another girl. But we're the bad people. If that's the truth, I don't want to be good. If that's how it works, I don't want any part of being on the good side. I'm fine with being on the bad side if cussing makes me bad, but the good people are allowed to push this off and get other kids raped. Whatever. They villainized me and my family from the minute my daughter reported that she was sexually assaulted, pretty much until present time. Bibaraj wanted to make an example out of me to scare people from speaking out, and quite frankly, it worked, Smith said, noting that far fewer parents have turned out to school board meetings and spoken out since his arrest. Well, Scott, I'll tell you this. It's not because of this. It's because parents realized there's just no reason to even engage with the system. The system just needs totally dismantled and burnt to the ground. So there's just no reason to waste your time. He says next legal step will be to sue the prosecutor for misconduct and possibly the National School Board Association. The pardon from Youngkin, who enjoys high favorability ratings in what was previously considered a blue state, continues a fulfillment of his campaign promise to focus on parental rights and education. On Tuesday, he will hold a Parents Matter conversation in Loudoun at Cornerstone Chapel, a church that was placed on an enemies list by a group of liberal activists called the Loudoun Love Warriors, probably in conjunction with Southern Poverty Law Center and all those stupid organizations that are just total lies. They lie about everything. The church's pastor said it's ironic that those who espouse tolerance the most are actually some of the most intolerant people toward those of us with different views and values. A member of the Love Warriors was arrested on felony charges this month. Bibaraj has not responded to questions about whether she intends to drop charges, prosecute, or recuse herself. And of course she'll drop the charges on the Love Warriors people. But this is one of the things that I think is most telling and like out of that whole article is the church's pastor said it's ironic, and it's ironic, that those who espouse tolerance the most are actually some of the most intolerant people toward those of us with different views and values. What they actually do is they actually project their own biases and prejudices and racial thoughts and racial actions and all that, like everything bad about liberals, everything bad about themselves, as opposed to admit they have a problem and try to fix it, they just project it on other people. I think instead of locking Scott Smith up, they should have gave him a key to the city and gave him a medal. And Mr. Smith, here's what I want you to know, brother. I'm sorry. 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, whenever it was, you were all alone. I assure you today, that is no longer the case. Dads across this country are ready to fight back, go balls to the wall. We have a dad army out here now ready to mobilize and are mobilized and are in the trenches with you, brother. So I'm glad Mr. Youngkin pardoned you. I'm sorry what happened to your daughter. One of the only maybe silver linings that I can see that maybe I would say to you, and this is no consolation. I have 2 daughters, man, and I can't even fathom it. Is I do like to think that the man upstairs, Jesus himself, always has bigger things at play, and much like I say all the time that I am the broken vessel that he's used here in Kentucky to spur along some of the culture war bills that have gotten through and all that. I do believe that our God can take terrible tragedies. He can take terrible tragedies and do wonderful things with them. And I think this is one of those situations where the terrible tragedy that you have had to witness and that your daughter have had to witness, and that we all need to be praying for both you guys, but most importantly her. I do think you all were a catalyst. Your situation was a catalyst to spur thousands, if not tens of thousands of other fathers and mothers in this country into action. And just want to thank you for your bravery, for your patriotism, and want you to know that I'm praying for your daughter, man. So I appreciate you. Thank you, Glenn Youngkin, and let me know what you all think about the video. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Until the next one, this is Way Too Much Your MC. Have a great day.